Blake?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, sir. Excuse me.
My fault.
You out there? Do you hear me? This is Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake. Do you hear me?
Son of a gun, here's pretty good.
He was the heart of MASH, the soul behind the laughter, and then he vanished. When McLean Stevenson suddenly left the show at its peak, no one knew the truth, until now. What really happened behind the scenes will break your heart and change the way you see one of TV's most beloved characters. Before MASH, McLean Stevenson wasn't a household name, but he had something: charisma, warmth, and a rare comedic timing. When he landed the role of Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake in 1972, everything changed. Audiences immediately fell in love with Blake, the bumbling, well-meaning commanding officer who brought levity to the horrors of war. Stevenson brought a depth to the role that no one expected. Beneath the jokes was a man trying to hold his unit together, and it resonated. By the show's second season, Maz H had become a ratings juggernaut, but behind the scenes, Stevenson was growing restless. He had been working in television for years, often in supporting roles or behind the scenes. MASH was his breakout, but success came with a cost. The realization that no matter how beloved his character was, the spotlight was shifting elsewhere. And that spotlight, more and more, was focused on Alan Alda. What many don't realize is that Stevenson wasn't just chasing fame. He was chasing creative fulfillment. He had ideas, pitches, and hopes for where his character could go. But those ideas often took a backseat to Hawkeye's expanding arc. It slowly chipped away at his confidence. In 1975, at the end of Season 3, McLean Stevenson made a shocking decision. He was leaving the show. Officially, it was to pursue other opportunities. But the truth, as he would later admit, ran deeper. Stevenson felt overshadowed. Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce was increasingly becoming the show's centerpiece. Scripts revolved around him. Interviews focused on him, and Stevenson, despite being a core part of the ensemble, felt invisible. He once said he wanted to be number one, but Masked was Alan's show. It wasn't bitterness, it was heartbreak. Stevenson loved the show, loved the cast, but he believed he had more to give, more to show, and he didn't want to be forever known as the second lead. There was also the allure of stardom. Networks promised him starring roles, bigger deals, greater visibility. It felt like the right time to leap, but no one could have predicted how that leap would land. In hindsight, he realized the promises made were mostly hollow. The projects he was pitched weren't driven by the same integrity, talent, or vision as Maz H. It was a different world, and it wasn't what he expected. So he left, and the writers gave his character an exit that shocked America. In the final episode of Season 3, Henry Blake receives discharge orders. He's going home. The camp throws a party. He boards a chopper. Everyone smiles. It feels like a happy ending, until the final scene. Radar enters the operating room, face pale, voice shaking, and says,
Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan. It spun in. There were no survivors.
Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake's plane was shot down. There were no survivors. The audience gasped. America cried. It was one of the first times a major TV character was killed off without warning. And it was McLean's fate, written as a final, unforgettable goodbye. The cast reportedly didn't know the ending until moments before filming. The emotion was raw, real, and it made history. Producers later revealed the decision to kill off Blake was meant to underscore the brutal reality of war, that not everyone gets to go home. It wasn't just a TV twist, it was a statement. For McLean, the choice cut deep. He hadn't expected such finality. He once admitted he would have preferred a more open-ended departure, one that left the door open. But the door was closed. Firmly. Still. That moment became iconic. It elevated the show from a wartime sitcom to a bold narrative about loss, sacrifice, and unpredictability. And McLean's performance, even in absence, became a lasting symbol of that shift. After MASH, Stevenson went on to star in several sitcoms. Stevenson went on to his own series, The McLean Stevenson Show, Hello, Larry, and Condo. All were short-lived, and he later conceded that leaving MASH was the mistake of his career. What fans didn't always see was how deeply he missed that connection. The camaraderie, the writing, the impact. His later roles felt lighter, less grounded, and never earned the same critical acclaim. Producers and co-stars alike recognized his talent, but many felt he was miscast in the roles that followed. He was trying to recreate Henry Blake in shows that didn't understand the heart behind the humor. Off-screen, Stevenson was generous and humble. He rarely spoke ill of Mazich or its creators, but those closest to him said it lingered, the ache of what might have been. He was often invited to Maz H cast reunions, interviews, and tribute specials, and when he showed up, the love from fans was overwhelming. It reminded him, and the world, of just how powerful his performance truly was. McLean Stevenson passed away in 1996 from a heart attack. He was 68. In his final days, he spoke fondly of Mates H, of Alan Alda, of what the show meant to him. Even decades later, fans remember his performance with warmth and affection. Reruns of Maz H still draw millions, and every time Henry Blake walks into the frame, viewers smile and sometimes cry. Because they know how it ends, and yet they watch anyway. For him, Henry Blake may have died on that helicopter, but McLean Stevenson lives on in every rerun, every fan memory, every tear shed in that final scene. He wasn't just a funny man, he was a heart, a presence, a part of TV history that can never be replaced. And his exit from MASH? It wasn't just a plot twist. It was a moment that changed television forever. In an era where TV deaths were rare, his farewell was bold, jarring, unforgettable. It elevated Maz H from comedy to commentary. And McLean Stevenson, though gone too soon, helped craft one of the most powerful moments in television history. His journey may not have gone the way he hoped, but his impact? It's still being felt decades later. If McLean Stevenson made you laugh, made you cry, or made you think, let us know in the comments. What's your favorite Henry Blake moment? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of the legends who shaped the golden age of television.
Ooh, hee, ha, ha, and I thought my jokes were bad.
And you know what? She can't stand the sight of me.
We remember Heath Ledger for his talent, his charm, and his unforgettable roles. But behind the fame was a young man searching for peace. This is the story Hollywood never wanted to tell. Heath Ledger was one of the brightest stars in Hollywood. People loved him for his talent, his smile, and his big heart. But behind the camera, something strange and sad was happening. After playing the Joker in The Dark Knight, everything changed. He gave the world an amazing performance, but it may have cost him more than we ever knew. Today, we will uncover the secrets of Heath Ledger's final days. Some say the truth was hidden, others believe it was too dark to face. What really happened? Let's find out. Heath was born in 1979 in Perth, Australia. When he was 10, he played Peter Pan in a school play. He loved acting, he worked hard, and got small roles in Australian TV shows. When he was 19, he moved to the US to act in movies. You might know him from 10 Things I Hate About You, The Patriot, or A Knight's Tale. By the time he was 26, he got an Oscar nomination for Brokeback Mountain. People saw he was very talented. In 2007, Heath started acting in The Dark Knight. He played the Joker, a scary bad guy. But this Joker wasn't silly. He was dark and creepy. Heath wanted the part to be perfect. He stayed alone in a hotel room for weeks. He practiced voices and wrote in a notebook as the Joker. He said the Joker was a crazy clown who didn't care about anyone. People were amazed by how real he made the character. But something bad was happening to Heath. Playing the Joker was really hard for Heath. He couldn't sleep. I probably slept an average of 2 hours a night, he said. I couldn't stop thinking. He took sleeping pills. When one didn't work, he took another. But he still stayed awake. His friend and coach, who stayed with him, said he'd find Heath walking around the apartment late at night. Heath would say, "I can't sleep. Man!" Even after filming ended, the sleepless nights didn't stop. He was so tired, but his mind was still going. He once told a reporter that his body was exhausted, but his brain kept racing. He also got very sick while filming the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Some people on set thought he had walking pneumonia. But Heath kept going, even when he should have rested. After Heath died, people found the notebook he kept while playing the Joker. Inside were strange drawings, creepy jokes, and pictures of clowns. There were notes about the Joker's thoughts and quotes from scary characters. On the last page, it simply said, "Bye-bye." Some think this notebook showed how deep he went into the role. It was like he became the Joker in real life. Others believe it was a quiet way of saying goodbye, a final message from a man who was hurting inside. On January 22nd, 2008, Heath died in his apartment in New York City. He was only 28. People all over the world were shocked. That morning, his housekeeper thought he was sleeping, but when a massage therapist came and couldn't wake him, they found him on the floor. Next to him was a movie script and a phone number for a director. When the director found out, he said he was so sad he collapsed. Doctors said Heath died because he took 6 different kinds of medicine. Some were for pain, some for sleep, and some for stress. They said it was an accident, but still very sad. Heath was also very sad about other things. He and his girlfriend Michelle Williams had broken up. They had a little girl named Matilda, who was only 2. Heath missed Michelle and missed being with his daughter. He wanted to hold her, play with her, and be her dad, but he felt far away from her. His friend said Heath was desperately sad. His sister called him the night before he died and told him to stop taking so many pills. He told her, "I'm fine. I know what I'm doing." But he wasn't fine. He was hurting inside and trying to deal with it all alone. After Heath died, people noticed strange things. In The Dark Knight, the Joker said creepy lines like, "Why so serious?" Now those lines sound even scarier, knowing what Heath was going through. In his last movie, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, Heath's character travels through magical mirrors and disappears into other worlds. After Heath died, 3 other actors, Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell, had to finish his role by turning into different versions of the same character. It was almost like Heath had disappeared into a different world too. Was that just a strange accident, or was it something more? No one really knows. After Heath passed away, Hollywood said kind things, but not many talked about the pressure he faced or how hard the Joker role was. Some people think Hollywood didn't want to talk about the dangers of mixing medicine or how much stress actors go through. Heath's dad later said it was totally his fault. That was hard for him to say, but he wanted people to know the truth. Even though Heath is gone, people still talk about him. His Joker is called one of the best performances ever. He even won an Oscar after he died. Heath showed that acting is more than pretending. It takes heart, hard work, and sometimes pain. He gave it everything, and people will always remember him. Heath's story is very sad, but it also teaches us something. Even happy-looking people can be hurting inside. Even strong people need help. If you're feeling tired or sad, don't stay quiet. Talk to someone. Heath tried to handle it all by himself, but he needed more help than he got. We should take care of each other. And ourselves. What really happened to Heath Ledger? Was it the role, the pressure, the medicine, or all of it? We might never know the full truth. But we know this. Heath gave the world a gift, a powerful performance, a memory that will never fade. Sometimes behind big smiles, there is pain, and sometimes people who give the most need the most help. Hollywood may not have wanted this story to come out, but now you know. And you won't forget. Subscribe now before this video disappears like the truth once did.
Amanda again! Now I really want to make sure you see every moment of my new show premiering tonight in the all-new Snick. So I'm going to clean your TV screen with my toothbrush.
The Amanda Show, tonight in the big new Snick.
I was never open about this before, but I actually had blepharoplasty surgery on the skin folds in the corners of my eyes.
She made us laugh, but no one saw her pain, the untold story of Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes. To millions, she was the bubbly, hilarious teen star who made us laugh on Nickelodeon. From all that to The Amanda Show, she lit up screens across the country with her charm, comedic timing, and undeniable talent. But behind the laughs, fame, and red carpet smiles, Amanda was quietly falling apart. This is the story of a child star who had it all: fame, fortune, adoration, and lost it just as quickly. A tragic journey through mental illness, addiction, and the dark side of Hollywood. This is the heartbreaking truth of Amanda Bynes. She was born Amanda Laura Bynes on April 3rd, 1986 in Thousand Oaks, California. The youngest of 3 children, Amanda showed early signs of star power. By the age of 7, she was already performing in commercials and local stage productions. But everything changed when she landed a spot on Nickelodeon's All That in 1996. At just 10 years old, she was already a standout. Her sketch comedy skills and infectious energy made her a fan favorite. Soon after, she was given her own show, The Amanda Show, which became a staple of early 2000s childhoods. Audiences adored her. She wasn't just acting, she was the comedy. Hollywood took notice. In 2002, she starred alongside Frankie Muniz in Big Fat Liar. More movie roles followed: What a Girl Wants, She's the Man, Hairspray. By the mid-2000s, Amanda Bynes was everywhere.
Now, 2 friends are on a mission.
Hey, remember me? I wrote Big Fat Liar.
She was smart, funny, relatable, a role model to young girls, a breath of fresh air in a world of Hollywood drama. But beneath the surface, Amanda was struggling. As Amanda transitioned from teen star to adult actress, the pressure mounted. By 2007, she seemed to be on top of the world, starring in Hairspray with John Travolta, Zac Efron, and Michelle Pfeiffer. The film was a box office hit. Amanda's performance was praised. But behind the scenes, she was beginning to feel lost. The industry had changed. Roles weren't coming in like they used to. Amanda was growing up, but the world still saw her as the funny girl from Nickelodeon. Typecasting, perfectionism, and the grind of Hollywood were wearing her down. Privately, she was becoming more withdrawn. Former colleagues described her as increasingly isolated and haunted by the pressure to be perfect. In 2010, at just 24 years old, Amanda tweeted something that shocked fans. "I've retired from acting." She shared, "Being an actress isn't as fun as it may seem. If I don't love something anymore, I stop doing it. I don't love acting anymore, so I've stopped doing it. I know 24 is a young age to retire, but you heard it here first." No one saw it coming. It felt sudden, but for Amanda, it was the culmination of years of exhaustion, identity struggles, and an industry that often values profit over people. She would later admit she was unhappy with how she looked on screen. She hated her performances in certain films. She didn't feel good enough. She once said in an interview, "I literally couldn't stand to see myself. It made me want to stop everything." And that's when things started to spiral. What followed was a public unraveling that saddened fans around the world. In 2012, Amanda Bynes was arrested for a DUI in West Hollywood. Months later, she was charged with 2 hit-and-run incidents. By 2013, she was making headlines not for her acting, but for increasingly erratic behavior.
You all remember back in early April when Amanda Bynes was arrested in West Hollywood for a DUI after sideswiping a car, right? Well, yesterday she was officially charged.
She tweets, "I can't help but laugh at all of you writing fake stories about me. I was not in any hit and run. I don't drink, so DUI is fake." She infamously tweeted about wanting rapper Drake to murder her lady parts. She shaved part of her head. She was seen talking to herself, behaving strangely, and isolating from friends and family. "I wasn't being insincere. I was saying, 'Murder my vagina lady parts,'" Bynes told Madison. "I was being serious, but I was also on drugs." In July 2013, Amanda was hospitalized after allegedly starting a small fire in a stranger's driveway. That incident was the final alarm bell. She was placed on a psychiatric hold. Doctors diagnosed her with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia symptoms. Her parents were granted a conservatorship, taking control of her finances and medical decisions. Suddenly, Amanda Bynes wasn't a starlet anymore. She was a headline, a cautionary tale. Behind closed doors, Amanda was living a very different life from the one we remembered. Friends who tried to reach her were often turned away or left in silence. One anonymous source close to the family said, "We knew something was wrong, but she was impossible to reach. It was like she was trapped in her own world." From 2013 onward, Amanda largely disappeared from the public eye. She was under her parents' conservatorship for nearly 9 years. During this time, she sought treatment, enrolled in the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, and tried to reclaim a sense of normalcy. There were moments of hope. In 2018, Amanda gave a rare interview with Paper magazine. She appeared healthy, composed, and reflective. She admitted to abusing Adderall, marijuana, and alcohol during her spiral. She also expressed remorse for her past behavior.